Hi, it's Amy here from Couture Wedding Cakes by Sweet Cheeks Limited. I'm here today to show you a wee tutorial on how I make my English rose, which is this flower here, and how I make that with my single rose petal cutter, which is available from www.coutureweddingcakes.co.uk. Okay, so basically there's a couple of ways of doing roses. You've got your wedding roses, which I'll do a tutorial on, which is your quick and easy roses. And then we've got this English roses, which the petals, there's a lot more finer, they're a lot more refined. There's 27 petals in total for this flower. It's very, very easy to make, and I will make a start. So obviously you're going to use your sugar paste, your flour paste here, which is Squire's Kitchen. We're going to colour it. So we're going for quite a dusky kind of colour today. So we do have your lavender and also a tiny little bit of your dark brown here. Okay, these are both by Sugar Flare. So if you're adding colour to flour paste and you want a nice little wee dusky kind of vintagey kind of colour, then add in a tiny little dot of dark brown. Okay, so we're just gonna mix this through. I've already mixed this, so just to save time. So again with the tricks, so when you're doing this flower you will need a 20 gauge wire. You're also going to need a 30mm poly ball, which I always buy my poly balls via eBay. It's a lot cheaper if you bulk buy. You're going to need your ball tool and also your rolling pin. So what I tend to do with these flowers is I cut all the petals out at the same time and I'll just put them in a little poly pocket here. So that's 27 petals in total. I'm just going to show you what I do. So I kind of work backwards. So you're going to do first 5 petals, then 7 petals, then 9 petals, and then 6. So what you want to do before you do anything else is you want to take your 9 petals and your 6 petals and you're going to thin them out. You're going to turn them over with a cocktail stick and you're going to let them dry on the inside of an apple tray. So while they're setting and drying, you then go on to the first stages of your flower. It's a little bit backwards, but it's always kind of worked for me. So I will show you just how thin I like to roll this. So I'm working here on this workboard. These workboards are ideal for getting your flour paste really, really thin. I'm all about keeping it thin. Okay, here we go. So just keep rolling nice and thin, like so. So obviously I have already cut out all my petals, but I just want to show you exactly how I do it. So you can see just how thin that is. You can just about see my fingers through it. You want to cut one of your petals out. Now, as I said before, the couture cutters, they're designed so that you don't need to put a lot of pressure on them. If you put too much pressure on them, you're going to really make them all kind of misshapen. So you basically just need to just a slight bit of pressure on and turn it around in a nice wee circle there, and you'll get a nice clean cut. Okay, so you want to do that 27 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to this one's here. Where are we? Right here. Okay, so what you're then going to do is you want to roll these petals out with your rolling pin. You want to ball tool them and then you want to roll them again. Okay, so it's all about getting them super, super thin. So when I'm rolling, I'm pushing from the center of the petal out. And I'm just kind of leaving the base of the petal, which is your tip end, which should be facing you, slightly thicker, because that end you're gluing on. So you're really, really thinning this out. Like so. Okay. I'm just going to flick this up so you can see. So you can see just how thin that edge is there. Okay, so you then want to take it onto your pad. You then want to just roll your ball tool over it. Now you're not wanting to make it too frilly, so just a couple of times is enough. Just roll it out again. So bearing in mind, this is your 9 and your 6 petals, which is going to sit in the inside of your apple tray. You then take your cocktail stick and you're just pushing it along the edge here just to flip it over. So it gets a nice little wee curled shape on the edge. Same again here on the opposite side. Now, not all roses are perfect, so if you've got little bits that have torn, anything like that, don't throw away the petal, because I find that it gives it a little bit of edge and it kind of looks a little bit more realistic. So once you've done that, you're then going to place your petal gently, do not push it down, into the inside of your tray. So by doing that, it's just giving it a nice little curved shape. And you're going to let that dry while you're making the first 2 stages. So put that to the side, let it dry. You want to take your 20 gauge wire and your poly ball, and you want to put your 20 gauge wire right through the centre, like so, okay? By using a poly ball, it reduces the weight of the flower, basically. So they're not too heavy, and it's a little bit more secure than what it would be if you was to use a big chunk of flower paste. So you should not have anything rocking at the top here. This should all be quite tight, okay? So we'll just put that to one side. We're going to do our first 5 petals. So it's the same as before, you're going to thin, but you're not going to be curling these ones over, okay? Right, over here. So it's all about the thinness. So tip of your petal facing you, pushing out with your rolling pin, getting it nice and thin. You might not need to ball tool it. Sometimes you can roll it quite thin and not ball tool it. It all kind of depends, really. Yeah, so that's thin enough. So I'll just put that. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to glue them and attach them to our bud. It's dead easy. Once you've done a few of these, you'll be able to do them in your sleep. Okay, so glue brush, I've got my almond art glue, and I'm gluing in a V from the tip down to about halfway down the petal there. So we then want to start attaching them. So basically you want to put your ball on, flip it over, and you almost want to make this like a little hood. If you need a little bit more glue, by all means put it on, don't be shy with your glue. So you're just kind of wrapping it over. Don't worry about the bits at the bottom if they're untidy, you're not going to see that anyway. So you can see that is the start of your rose. And there, like so, okay? You're then going to attach your next petal, which is going to go directly over this part here, and it must be at the same height. Securing down, if you're looking at it, you're securing down your right hand side here. Always leaving your left hand side slightly open because you want to slot your next petal into there, okay? So you're basically just at the same height again, securing it down on one side, leaving the other side slightly open, and then once you've done that, you can pull over your second petal here, okay? So always leaving this left hand side slightly open. Slotting in again. So when you're doing this flower, the inside's quite tight, your bud, your general bud, okay? It's not till you get to your outer petals, which is your 9 and your 6, that you have it more open. So it's again, securing it down on the inside, pulling it over, and then what you do is go back and pull over your last petal, and you can add a little bit of glue if you need. So you can just see here how that's looking, okay? So try and have it, although it's closed, try and have it so that it's not too closed. Like there's a fine line between it being too closed and tight looking. You can see that that's still quite open. So that last petal there, I've left that slightly open because your next layer is going to start inside there. So what we'll do is we'll just put our flower down. We're going to go to our next layer, which is your 7s. Again, these do not need curled over like the ones that are in the apple tray drying at the minute. You're just going to do the same to these as what you've done with the last ones. Okay. So these roses are quite quick to make as long as you're prepared when you're doing them. They look really nice on the cakes. You can also do it, you can make it so that your inner petals are slightly darker than what your outer petals are, and that adds a little bit of depth to them. So you would start off with a darker colour, cut out your first lot of petals, and then add in a little bit of white flower paste for your outer ones. So you'll see that it's just the edges here that I'm thinning out. Okay, so same again, gluing in a V sign, have the tip towards you, gluing up the one sides there. You can always go and add more glue if need be, rather too little than too much kind of thing. When you're applying these petals, these need to be, it's important that you have them at the same height as the last layer, because if you don't, then they're going to start resembling a cabbage shape, which is never pretty. Okay. But it's the same way any other flowers. Once you've done these a few times, you'll be able to rattle them out with your eyes closed. It's so easy to do. Okay, so you can see here, this was the last petal. So we're just going to, because it's not obviously set yet, we're just going to peel it back a little bit and then add in our next one at the same height. May I add? Stick it down in the inside, pull your petals over, leaving it slightly open here for your next one to slot right in there. Again, slot it in, pull it over. There we go. So you can see that it's just kind of coming together nicely. So when you're doing the fantasy rose, it's the same kind of principle. That's another tutorial altogether. So pull these over. Oh, stuck. That's it. So this is almost there. It's my dog. Happy days. It's not the dog, it's the kids. So you can see here, I'm just gonna put this down. So it's all quite enclosed here, which is fine because it's going to really open up when we put the next layer of petals on. You can just go back, you can see it's a little bit untidy underneath, you just need to go back and push all that on. You don't see that once the flower is all kind of put together. If there's any little inner petals that need moved, by all means use a cocktail stick and just give them a little bit of a shift about, that's not an issue. So we can see that this is my last petal that I've put on. So we're just going to make sure that we leave that open for the next lot. So now we're going for our 9 petals. They have been drying in the apple tray for a few minutes now. So they've got their shape, but they're still flexible. So what we need to do is we need to get glue on these and get these attached to the flower. So same principle as before, gluing up the sides, down to the point, which should be facing you. And we'll just glue them all. There's no point in not gluing them all, stopping and starting. Just get the glue on and then get them on the flower kind of thing. Okay. Okay, so that's the 9 petals glued. If you just pick up your flower, so you're going to go in from your last starting off point, which is here. Again, same process, you're putting them in, you're securing them down on the inside, leaving the outside slightly open so you can slot your next petal in, and also you won't have them at the same height. So we'll just open up that petal and slide in this one, like so, and pull this one over. Okay. So I'm working in an anti-clockwise direction here, but it depends, I guess, on if you're left-handed or right-handed, on which direction you want to work in. It's whatever works for you, really. So these are all slotting in nicely. If you need to put on a little bit more glue, you can. Don't be shy with it. So you can see it's starting to take shape now. It's looking good. I think what a lot of people, the mistakes they make with flowers is they're scared to really get their hands in and manhandle them. But really, you're not going to break it. Just get in there. Be a bit rough with it. It'll be fine. Okay. So sometimes this is when you get the petals dropping off. That happens to me as well. Best. Pure best. Now, so you can see this is the, just keeping them nice and secure. I have put quite a bit of glue on, so they should be okay. Famous last words though. The good thing about them being at this point and being a little bit soft is you can still move them without them breaking. Do you know, if they need moved up or down or whatever, it's totally fine. There we go. So you can see it's starting to come together. So this is my last petal here, so this is where the final 6 is going to go, starting in here. So we'll just place this into the polystyrene, get our final petals. So, same as before, gluing down the sides just to kind of make sure that you get them well stuck. There we go. Okay, so picking up your flower again, you're going to pick off from where you left it. It's just in here. So we're going to slot this next petal in. So that's one. Oops. So always coming down in an anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so now that they're all attached, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the flowers about a little bit, open it up. So obviously you only want to open up one side, otherwise your petals is going to come flying off. but you can see, no, quite impressed with that actually. So here is an English rose done by me. So quite an easy flower to do, it's not that difficult, 27 petals, and I'm sure you'll be able to smash it, no bother. Okay, thanks for watching, bye!